Satnam. So who was just saying hello?
Param Dian.
Hi, Param Dian. How are you?
Progressing.
Wonderful. Listen, I would love for you to do me a favor if you would.
Yes.
You are using that Skype phone?
Yes.
Would you write down how to get that and send it to me? I have
Absolutely.
a lady in Ecuador who wants to call in.
Absolutely.
Good. Thank you so much.
Yes, and if you don't mind, I'm going to mute because I have a little cough and I don't want to be interrupting the conversations.
Okay. Thank you, dear.
Satnam.
Satnam. Who else is here?
Suzanne.
Suzanne? Welcome.
Yes,
hi.
Hi. Yes, Suzanne Smith, Dallas.
Okay. Dallas. Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
And who else is here?
Tina Pendleton.
Who is that?
Tina Pendleton.
Oh, Tina. Hi, Tina. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. And who else is here?
Hargo Ben.
Hi, Hargo Ben. How are you?
Good, Siri Gian. How about you?
Good, good. And who else just came on? Hello?
Hello.
This is Nora.
Okay, we have two people here. So, who are you?
This is Rahmane and
Oh, hi, Rahmani. Welcome.
Thank you.
And who else?
Hi, it's Judy.
Judy, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so Judy who? Or where are you from?
From Daytona.
Welcome, Judy. You must know, you must know Hargo Ben.
Yes.
Yay, good.
They're the lighthouse people that are passing those beautiful photographs around.
Aren't they wonderful?
Yes.
Fabulous. So who else is here?
I thought I heard Nora. Is my friend Nora on?
Yeah, Juno.
Juno?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Is your name Juno? Are you from Juno?
It's Nora from Juno.
Oh, Nora from Juno. Oh,
yes.
Welcome, dear. I'm glad to have you. And who else is here? Who else? Speaking of Juno, Huddy Munder just told me that Lucinda, remember the lady who was wrongfully accused? She's actually at home now. The attorney, district attorney or somebody, is just now deciding whether they're going to try to get her back in jail. But so we'll all include her in Heart Breath. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Who else is here?
Amrit.
Who?
Amrit.
Oh, hi, Amrit. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah. And who else is here? Anybody else? Is Sadhna here? Okay, they must be out traveling these days. Okay, so let's get started. So please sit straight. Oh, before we get started, Rahmani, did Sat City get in touch with you? Rahmani?
Yes, she did, Siri Gian.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad that connection is made. Mm-hmm. Okay, so please sit straight. Palms together at the center of the chest. You can rub them together to bring up a little energy or a lot of energy. Long, deep breath. Relax into your third eye point. Relax into your third eye point with your long, deep breath. understand that what we're going to do now is address, identify, become one with the infinity that we really are. So inhale to begin. Long deep breath. Relaxing deeper and deeper with your long deep breath. And now please begin heart breath. That is long deep breath. And on the exhale, feel as though the air is coming out of your heart center. Good. Feel your heart really opening. Feel its preciousness. Hard breath. And now please connect with each other's hearts, making one beautiful, gigantic, healing body. Good. Really tune in. And Baba Siri Chand says, oh, yes, I'm involved in that too. So unite your hearts with him also. Good. And now, please send your heart breath to any special intention that you have, to anything that needs healed, as well as to Syria. Good. And inhale. And exhale. Good. He says, please keep up that heart breath, He says, feel like you are lying flat out on the beach with the water lapping at your toes. He says, please relax. He says, feel the beauty of the sunshine. Know that you are, that you are immersed in this beautiful nature, that you are given the world, and the world is given to you. He says, not in the understanding of the Old Testament that people have taken and saying, oh, the world is mine to ravage. Well, you know better than that. He says, rather understand that the vibrational frequency of this earth is your challenge and it is your blessing. He says, so please feel the quality of nature within your own body, within your own mind, within your own spirit. Feel it now. He says that feeling of being as nature is that you are not only connected to all, but you are fully a part. That you are fully cohesive with a whole system. He says just like a liver is part of your body, he says same thing with you in this nature. He says, please feel that you are united in this presence. Please understand that you are not separate, but that you are a microorganism of the great organism of nature. He says you are an organ of it. You are a completing presence. He says each organ in your own body has its own, he says it has its own function, or malfunction, as he calls it. He says, you know that each organ, if it does not keep up, if it does not retain its health, it has an effect. It has an effect on your whole being. And so it is. And so it is with you as an organ within this whole nature, he calls it the nature complex. He says he's not trying to make a guilt trip on you. No. He says, but he is encouraging you to be mindful, to create, to be aware of your own health. Your own health, your vibrant health, your flowing health on every level. He says, you may think that you're alone out here in this world. He says, oh, no. He says, there's nothing further from the truth. He says, you are so immersed in it that sometimes it's hard to see it. He says, you know, it's that old thing, can't see the forest for the trees. Keep up the heart breath. And allow yourself to be, to know, to feel, to vibrate as this one nature. Feel yourself in this whole nature. Good. He says, find a fascination with it. He says, understand that this flow that you are feeling, he says, is not simply a mental concept. No. He says you use your mind to become aware. But he says this flow, this, how can we say it? This flow, this continual movement. For instance, like your blood supply keeps circulating through your whole body. Okay, that is what this knowledge, this expression of nature flows through your body as your blood would flow through an organ. Keep circulating. He says not just one part of you, but all of you. On the conscious level, on the physical level, he says, let it flow. Be so aware. Be so conscious. Be so cognizant. He says, understanding that you were so acutely tuned in to as nature, he says, this does not reduce your infinity. He says, oh no. He says, quite the contrary. He says, this is a step to understanding your infinity, the infinity that moves through what we call the finite. But if we just knew the totality of the finite, oh my God, what an expansion that would be. Please know yourself as this flow. As this flow. He says, if you really knew this flow, you would understand Yogi Bhajan's sutra that says the other person is you. He says you're all on the same lifeline. You're all moving in the same consciousness. There would no longer be a we and a they. There would no longer be a heaven and an earth. He said, you would know it as one. He says, one with many different fruits, many different actions, such a complex of consciousness and knowing. He said, you would know, you would be aware of the complexities even more than you are now, even on a much more great level. You would know the complexities, but you would know that it's all one, that cannot be separated, because it is the one. He says right now we have been taught to define the complexities. He says it's just all right to define the complexities. He says, but to use that definition in order to separate one from the other, he says, will not do. He says, because it rips you. It rips you from your preciousness. It rips you from the wealth, the prosperity, the juice of life. So when you regard this and that, he says, how could there be a judgment to put anything up, put anything down? Use your identity to define the yellow side and the red side. To define, to separate good from bad. He says it's all happening. He says, might as well get used to it. It's all happening. He says, but you do need to know what's going on, and that you get as discernment from your soul. Discernment from your soul rather than judgment from your mind. Discernment from soul will lead you through the course of the oneness. It will lead you through the complexities. It will lead you to magnetically define how you relate to this oneness in a most perfect way, in a most exquisite way, in the most highly, highly defined way. He says there could be no better guide. When you do that, you leave behind the judgments of good and bad, yes or no. He says those judgments create separation. It takes you away from your knowledge. It takes you away from your knowledge of your base, of your totality. He said, rather than judge from your mind, judge from your habits, judge from your cultural antiquities, he calls it, instead, simply discern from your soul. Know from your soul. He says, when he says that soul is not separate from you. Not separate from you. Oh, no. It is your infinity. It is the true you. It is your true, authentic self. He said, wouldn't you just love to be your true, authentic self? He says, no worries. He says, there are no worries there. Even in the most dire situations. If you are fully in the consciousness of your soul, you understand the oneness. You understand the flow, the transformation. You understand it. You move with it. You balance with it. He says, you know the intricate balance that a surfer uses? He says, your soul, if you stay within the consciousness of your infinity, of your true self, as you use your mind to elevate yourself to that frequency, he says, that is how you live in this oneness. Use your mind to serve your soul. Use your mind to serve your soul. He says, you know, if you read Guru Nanak's writings in the scriptures of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, you see that Guru Nanak signs each one of those hymns with Nanak, the slave Nanak. He wasn't saying that he was being beaten and tortured. He was not saying that. What he was saying, that every movement, every thought, every consciousness was serving the consciousness of his soul, his own infinite self, his real self. He was in that consciousness. He says, please do that now. He says, you easily do that by focusing at your third eye, using your long, deep breath, and simply switching the dimension. Switching the dimension from that of the mind, of judgment, of separation. He says you can feel it. It's a different vibration where things are always sort of worrying you like little swarms of gnats all over you. He says, now switch. into the flow of the breath, the flow of the prana. Switch. Focus it at your third eye. He says that's the easiest way to go. Feel it. Feel the blessing of it. Just feel it now. Just feel it. Good. Oh, we have an echo. I'll just turn it off. Keep up the breath. Now, in this vast consciousness, from the standpoint, from the viewpoint, from the great hall and the most cozy hall of consciousness, of your infinity, from the most cozy bit of that infinity, he says, now, please look at the complexities. From that viewpoint, begin to see the oneness with the complexities. It's a sort of a both happening at once. But it works. It is the truth. It is the reality. Now, from this vantage point, pick out something that you were thinking about, maybe just before you got on this phone call, something that you were just trying to hash out, so to speak, trying to understand. He says that is a complexity. He says staying in this flow, in this arena, some people call it your ascended self. He says from that viewpoint, he says embrace the complexities and allow soul to discern your direction. Allow soul to very simply discern your direction. And he says, if you can, please write that down. Write that down so you don't forget it. Good. He says this is a process of raising earth to heaven so that there is no difference, all is oneness. He says this is how you solve duality. You remember that big old word? This is how you solve duality in your own present life. You begin to understand how big the life is. The life is infinite. Simply taking a little sojourn in the finite, enjoying the complexities, enjoying the flow. God experiencing itself. That's what you're here for. You are God experiencing itself. Good. And now continue using heart breath, being very conscious, very aware that you are still in this vibration, this moment, this oneness. Feeling the complexities as beautiful expressions, beautiful buds, beautiful potentials of all that could develop, have developed, and will develop. He says all the journeys of anguish. He says you know it is a transformative process. You understand that all the journeys of anguish will at some point in what we call some lifetime turn to the journey of stability, of kindness, of love, of what you call happiness. He says just tune into that now. Use your heart and tune into that. Feel that blessing. Feel that blessing. Use your heart breath and feel this experience, this exquisite experience of the consciousness that when we feel it, we experience it as love. That's why we call it a cozy consciousness, because that is the feeling. He says this is the final preparation. He says living in this consciousness, knowing this consciousness, being. He says this is true being. He says you always talk about being, be here now, to be, to be. He says when you live in this consciousness, that is who and where you are. He says, but you're not trapped there. Do you see? You have absolute access to all of the complexities, but not from the underside that is worrying, that is separating, that is scheming. He says, but from the totality side, in which all is connected, all is flowing. He says, now infuse and feel that experience as pure love. Feel it. He says it's there for you. It is so precious. It is you. He says, please keep that up. And as you remember at the beginning of the call, you sent your heart breath to your own healing intention. He says, staying in this consciousness of pure love, of heart breath, of the consciousness of infinity, of the dimension of your own soul, he says, please bring that intention, that healing intention within this consciousness. Let that intention or that situation or that person, let them unfold. Let them unfold. Let it expand so that it's no longer tight and tiny, short-sighted, chaotic. Let it unfold like a bud opening to a beautiful flower in the sunlight. Let it unfold. Let it feel the nourishment. Let it feel the frequency. Let it unfold. Such a pleasure, such a dawning, such an opening. And it's a continual dawning, a continual fresh start. There is no stopping and starting. There is only transformation and flow. Opening and watching what happens. Watching what happens. Watch the beauty. Feel the beauty. Know the beauty. Even smell the beauty. Hear it. Do you hear the beauty of the unfolding? says, as you know, this is a gift of the butterfly coming out of the cocoon. Allow it. Allow it to unfold. This is the preciousness and the purity of your own heart. He says, now feel this total dimension in your whole body. In your whole body. Keep up the breath. Remember, this is not a head trip. Your whole body, your whole mind, your whole spirit are all expressions of the complexity of nature. Opening, opening, flowing, flowing in the beauty and the sunshine. Good. He says, now, all of you have come to a point where you can join in this. He says, now the same situation that you did with your healing intention, he says, now please bring Syria, the place of this war, or this heartache. Please bring it into this consciousness, this flow, this infinity of nature, of awareness of the heart breath. Bring Syria in. Don't judge it. Do not judge it. Simply allow it to unfold so that it's no longer tight. Let the darkness open to the sunshine. Allow the quest, the panic quest for power and control. Allow it to meet the vibration, the consciousness of the infinite unknown. Allow it to happen. Keep up the breath, keep up the consciousness, keep up the flow. Allow the heart breath. Allow the transformation. Again, those of you who use the word ascending, he says this is the ascending process or the healing process. Allowing those very tight nuggets to open. It's just kind of like those little roly-poly things, in the earth. He says, allow them to open. And he says, allow their substance to evaporate. Let the energy go for transformation or recycling. And as you do this, allow your heart to clear, to open. He says, it is absolute, total connection. Oneness. Connection is not even the right word, but I don't have a right word. Good. And allow your heart breath to continue. Now, bringing your consciousness, your focus, to the present, what we call the everyday world, bringing the everyday world to your soul consciousness. Be very present, not spaced out, not gone beyond your level of integrating your very blessed thinking process with your knowing process, allowing your thinking to serve your soul consciousness, opening. He says, now, my dears, this is the time for you to share what has been experienced. He says, it's beyond imagining what you give to one another as you share your experiences. He says you become no longer isolated, but you become encouraged yourself to open in this oneness. He says it is yet another cure for duality. He says, so please share. Oh, let me switch the phone so you can talk. So who can share?
Siri Gian?
Yes, who is this?
This is Rahmane.
Yes, dear.
I would like to share.
Yes, please.
I want to share that two things. The first being that the translation of the Old Testament that you referred to in the beginning is a mistranslation, either done through ignorance or through deliberate distortion. And
yes, of course.
The effects have been inestimable in terms of damage. But the truth of it is, from the Hebrew, the words that were translated "have dominion over" are actually more like "have dominion with," "along with," or "alongside of." And from one of my respected Aramaic teachers, there's no evidence in the Hebrew that the preposition "be" means over. It doesn't mean that. It means with and through and in and alongside of. So the way that he translates that section is help creation to redeem its purpose and rule together with, within, alongside of the older inner and outer ways of swimming, flying, and creeping, whether through wave or particle, whether through energy or through matter. This human
and we do
way,
that when we switch to consciousness. Yes?
Yes. And when we were in the shifting from the inner vision and then bringing that into the world of duality, especially bringing Syria in, I had this sense of all these ascended beings, many of the Aramaic-speaking Christians and the Sufis and the Baha'i and so many of the enlightened peoples of the Middle East have been murdered. They've left their bodies, and yet I saw them as this arc over the Middle East, shining their light in, and also so many of us around the world now have caught the wave of what they were saying, and how the Middle East has been the mother, she's been the womb of so much wisdom, so much of the culture and civilization that we enjoy. A lot of it was attributed to Greece, but it wasn't. The Greeks took it from the Middle East, and so it's a very dear part of the Adi Shakti. And then there was a sense of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, with its wisdom being connected with the Silk Road, having been a part of that arc of unitive wisdom that is just seeing over that whole part of the world and inviting all the people who are in the bodies affecting what's happening there now to be open to the help from all these magnificent beings that grew and lived on that land and are now beaming in to help the great shift.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And it is living in consciousness to live in coordination, to live in the consciousness with all of these beings as we act together, as we move together, as we transform together. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you.
Who else can share? What was your experience of being, of seeing the complexities from the place of total unity, of being the organ of the oneness? Did anybody have an experience or an understanding of that?
Siri
Gian? Oh, good. There are two of you. What are your names? Who just spoke? Suzanne, and there was somebody else?
The other person was Nora.
Okay, so let me take Suzanne, and then we'll come to Nora. Okay? Okay, Suzanne.
First, I want to thank Rachmani. That was very visual for me. I really appreciate her connections that she makes. It's very powerful.
Yes, ditto.
Yeah, and for me, the experience was like a vibration down my spine, and that's all. I just allowed that, but I know that that's connectedness. It may be a visceral one, but I very much felt like, oh, this is what it is. This is the connection.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I love that, going down your spine.
Yeah.
The pure connection. Good. Thank you, dear. Did you want to say anything else about it?
No, that's all.
Okay. Good. Thank you. We appreciate it. Nora.
Yes. My thought was that at the moment that we were doing the breathing, or that I was doing the breathing and becoming one with nature, I got the feeling and the sense of just recently, about a month ago, I was in the emergency room and didn't realize how dire the situation had gotten with my blood pressure, where I possibly could have died very easily. And my husband's a nurse, and he was one of the nurses tending to me at the time. And after the event, I'm fine and well now, but after the event, he was asking me about what was happening with me while all these things were going on around me, and I was no longer conscious. And, I said to him, well, gee, the only way I can describe it is like I became part of everything. And that's exactly what I was feeling right now, this moment that we were doing this meditation. So
how fabulous.
Yeah.
What a gift you had, huh? I'm glad you're back with us, but what a gift you had.
Yes, indeed.
And can you carry that feeling into the present now?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! So that is your gift. That is your meditation. That's your realization of reality.
Okay.
Cool.
What do you mean that? How do you mean that? This is Suzanne again. That's for meditation. How do you implement that?
Are you asking me or Nora?
Either one, whoever gives me the answer.
Oh, okay. Nora, do you want to start there?
I think I'll pass on that one.
Okay.
Live it is all I can say.
Okay, so as you sit in, I'm going to listen to Babaji. He says, sit in your meditation. He says, do your heart breath. And he says, disappear into the oneness that is generated at your third eye. He says, disappear into it. And he says, after you have disappeared into it, allow your perception to open and to appear. And when you appear, you understand. He says, if that is your intention going into the meditation, he says, I'll help you with it. You just do it. He says that is when you have that is when you can experience the oneness. That all is happening simultaneously. That all that you are the oneness. Or there is no separation. It's hard to say you are the oneness because the word you separates you out. He says there is only oneness. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Nora, does that seem to suit it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said, does that seem to...
Oh, yes. Yes,
okay.
to suit it. Yes, it certainly does. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, dear.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Siri Gian?
Yes.
Tomas has a short poem he'd like to offer.
Oh, good. Good.
Hello, Siri Gian.
Hi, Tomas. Welcome.
This is a short poem I thought might be appropriate. Called Flowers. This is it. Here it is. Listen. Hear it? Spirit indwelling. Swelling bud of wellness. Perfect health and nurture. Spirit indwelling. Bursting bounds and flowering.
Beautiful. I love the way you said that. It is an absolute reality. It's not a dream. It is reality. It sort of reminds me of a Rumi poem. Thank you so much, dear.
You're welcome.
Now, who else would like to share? Babaji does say he would like to let you know that this awareness of oneness is not such a far-out, far-fetched situation. He says if you try to make it, it will be very hard because trying to make it is part of the judgment and so on. But it's more like the poem that Tomas just read. It is simply letting your guard down, so to speak. Sitting by the river and becoming aware. He said it is much more simple than we think it is. Okay? It is present. It is you. So, what else would you like to share? Okay. Oh, he does have a question. What was your experience of the bringing your intention for healing into this consciousness? Can anyone address that?
Siri Gian?
Yeah.
It's Rahmane again. Taking the course with Guru Mayer on living in the higher emotions. This last class notes has the Aquarian meditation that he offered from Siri Singh Sab. And it seems like living in this consciousness is articulated in that meditation where we're feeling our infinite expansiveness and walking our talk and walking our walk, working our work, everything we do with that expansive radiating of the wellness, the love that comes when we remember what we're part of.
Wonderful. Now, so is this on his site on his class site?
Yeah, it was the final kind of final homework under Class 6 from the class notes from the class that we have coming up, but we get to read the notes ahead of the class. Okay.
So he arranged to teach that class after he got home from vacation? Is that it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Good. Good. And I have to tell you, Makaram called this morning, and she said that the site is back up.
Oh, sweet.
So it's accessible now. This is wonderful. I am going to look into this. I appreciate this. Okay. So, bless you all. We've come to the end. No, that's not right, is it? I'm using all the wrong words. We are moving on. It's been such a joy to be with all of you. And, of course, Babaji, he's just beaming. He's just beaming and embracing us all. So please sit straight, palms together, heart breath. And inhale. Sing this to your consciousness. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love around you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way on. Inhale. And bow to this beautiful coziness of oneness that is you. Bless you all. Talk to you next week. Satnam.
Satnam.
Thank you.
Good day.